Welcome to Genesis chapter 25. Are you a struggling parent? Well, as you continue on with this video, you're going to discover some surprising tips and advice for parents. Uh, Even if you're not, you'll appreciate some of the insights that both Pastor Dina Salerno, and I have pulled out from this wonderful gem of a chapter. Plus, there is a prophetic word discovered in this that's perfect for what's happening now in Israel. Stick around and you'll find out what I'm talking about. And
So, are you ready for chapter 25?
oh yes,
Okay, let's go to chapter 25. Okay. Abraham remarries in this chapter.
oh yes,
It's
yeah, the
interesting.
third wife.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay. So now Abraham, this is 25, verse 1, took another wife whose name was Keturah. She bore to him Zimran, Jokshan, a bunch of names. Jokshan became the father of Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asheram and Letushim and Lumimim. The sons of Midian were Ephah and Epher and Hanok, and all these were the sons of Keturah. Okay.
If you guys don't know, some of those names are in the area of Saudi Arabia.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yep, I looked it up one time.
Wow, good for you. I know. I said one day I'm going to go look up all those names, but I haven't done that.
I don't know all of them.
Okay. So now Abraham remarries, okay? And the fourth son, Midian, becomes the father of the Midianites. That nation later caused Israel's great problems. Okay. Now, an interesting thing I want to share. One of the study Bibles that I read said that they believe that Keturah was a Gentile woman. Okay. This would mean that Sarah would represent the first covenant for the Jews who died. And now a new marriage to a Gentile woman opens the door for covenant for the Gentiles, meaning the church.
Oh.
Pretty interesting, right? Okay. Back to this page. Okay. Verse 7. Verse 6. No, I think I had. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. We're going to talk about that because the firstborn received a great inheritance. It's called the firstborn inheritance. Yeah. So right now it says that Abraham gave all he had to Isaac, but to the sons of his concubine, Abraham gave gifts while he was living. He was very generous to them while he was living, and they all received land and other things. Okay. These all are the years of Abraham's life that he lived, 175 years. Abraham breathed his last and died in a ripe old age, an old man and satisfied with life, and he was gathered to his people. This is the first instance in the whole Bible that makes you think that there's life after death, that he was gathered to his people. Mm-hmm. Because the next verse says, then the sons of Isaac and Ishmael got together, buried him in the cave. So that other
now, isn't it interesting that Ishmael and Isaac are together? That's practically a prophetic picture of healing or reconciliation. That's right. And technically, Ishmael is the firstborn, but the blessing and everything actually went to the second, which is Isaac, and that's going to repeat itself in the next chapter.
That's right. See, God didn't look at Ishmael as the spiritual gift, but Isaac did receive it. That's why he gets to be the firstborn, because God does not really recognize Ishmael as his son. Unfortunately, it was custom to give everything to the firstborn son. Okay. Children of concubines never received an inheritance unless there was nobody else left to give it to. He sends them away, so they were not jealous, because while he was alive, he really gave all his other children great gifts. Okay, so which is really good. Okay, so we hear here that Abraham breathed his last. He gives up the ghost. Okay, the Hebrew word is gava, to breathe out, to expire, and to die. All right. and he was gathered with his. This is the first indication that there might be life after the grave. Recorded here, okay, and he was buried with Sarah, okay, but it was meant that he was going to a spirit realm after this. Then the sons of Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave. Okay, we talked about that. The field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. Abraham was buried with Sarah, his wife. It came about after his death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac lived by Beer Lahai Roi. Now it gives you a list of all the descendants of Ishmael.
Yep.
And I'm not going to read all the names, but I'm going to read some of the verses there. They're important. Now, these are the records. The whole word of God is important, may I say. Okay. Now, these are the records of the generations of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar, the Egyptian, Sarah's maid, bore to Abraham. And then he lists all these names. And I am going to look up those names someday, too, because they were called the princes, his sons. Okay. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names by their villages, by their camps, 12 princes according to their tribes. These are the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years. Yeah. And then he breathed his last and died and was gathered to his people. They settled from Havilah to Shur, which is east of Egypt. As one goes through Assyria, he settled in defiance of all his relatives. Okay. He lived defiant life. Okay. Isaac's sons. Now, these are the records of the generation of Isaac, Abraham's sons. Abraham becomes the father of Isaac. Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah and the daughter of Bethu. Okay. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife because she was barren. Okay. Sarah was barren. This wife is barren. Okay. And because she was barren, and the Lord answered him, and Rebekah, his wife, conceived. But the children struggled within her, and she said, if it is so, why then I am this way? So she went to inquire of the Lord. That's what we need to do. We don't have to look up Dear Abby or go here or go there. Ask the Lord. The Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples will be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. Okay. Same thing like you just said about Ishmael and Isaac. Yeah. When her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in the womb. The first one came out red, all hairy garment, and they called him Esau. Yep. Afterward, his brother came forth with his hand holding on to his heel. So his name was Jacob, and Isaac was 6 years old when he gave birth to them. Okay. When the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, man of the field, but Jacob was a peaceful man living in tents. Now Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste of game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. When Jacob had cooked stew, Esau came in from the field and was famished. We're going to go back over this. Esau said to Jacob, please let me have a swallow of that red stuff there, for I'm famished. Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, first sell me your birthright. But Esau said, behold, I'm about to die. So what use is a birthright to me? And Jacob said, first swear to me. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. Then Jacob gave Esau bread and lentil stew, and he ate and drank and rose and went on his way. Then Esau despised his birthright. Okay, we have to understand what happened here. There's 2 children here. Okay, Esau was more of the fleshly man. Okay, yep. And he's saying, what does a spiritual birthright mean to me? I'm hungry. Watch out for your flesh. See, this is the picture. This is what we need to understand in this chapter. Your flesh can destroy your future. Yeah. Wrong decisions made can destroy your future. Yeah. You need to make the right decisions, and every decision you make with your flesh, don't go sinning. Stay away from that stuff. It's easy. And I always say to people, sin is fun for a moment. For a moment. I mean, you hear people drinking and having fun and gambling and being with, wrong people. And they're having fun for the moment. But they wake up in the morning. And there's generational curses. There's curses that have happened to them because of it. There's sin that has come. It opens up the door for a whole world of demons and spirits to torment. Okay. Watch your flesh. You can lose everything. You can lose your salvation by wrong decisions.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, Paul actually referenced this in one of his epistles where he said that the Lord said, Esau, no, Jacob I love, Esau I hate. What he
Yes.
was talking about is this. Esau despised the blessing. He despised all these things. It was like, ugh.
Yes.
And because of his attitude,
Right.
he didn't have any regard for that thing.
Right.
Yeah, he could have actually have said to his brother, cut the con job, just please give me some to eat, and then, or whatever. But no, because of that, he was very short-sighted and
Yeah.
didn't really, and because he didn't value, he ended up doing that. And
Yes.
want to bless, would have liked to have blessed them, but not with that hard attitude. And that's the problem.
That's
When
the
we
problem.
don't value the thing of God, when we don't value the thing that we would like. And a little bit later, Esau compounded by saying, okay, when came time to get married, or as they were doing at that time,
Yes.
he had no respect for his parents.
No,
He
no
had
respect.
none, really. He just
No, he
said,
didn't.
okay, I'm going to go sacrifice.
That's right. You're so right.
Yeah. And that's what he created. And that's why the Lord was saying, I don't
Right.
like what this kid's doing.
Yeah.
That's what was it. It wasn't like, and yet we read it as saying, come out. That's because God is all knowing. He
Yes.
sees the beginning to end. And
Yes.
and he could literally say, he, not us, him. He
Yeah.
could say, I can see where this kid's going. I don't like this. That's
Right.
what he's talking about. It wasn't
what
Calvinist
you
Hmm?
what you had said, Barry, too, about the sons getting together, Ishmael and Isaac burying their father.
Yeah.
That's a prophetic picture of the end when Jew and Gentile will stand together.
Mm.
Yeah, in the kingdom age.
Yeah.
That's a prophetic. You saw that, but that's what they're saying. It's a prophetic picture of it.
Yeah.
So that was really, really good that you saw that. Okay. They must have lived nearby each other, the highlights. I want to talk a little bit about the highlights of Isaiah's life. Okay. Mount Moriah. He was a submissive son. Okay. Even unto death. He and Ishmael bury Abraham together. They honor their father. Yeah. He prays for God to give his wife children. God answers the prayer. He gets twins, Esau and Jacob, one of the flesh, one of the spirit. Again, and he redigs wells. See, at one point from Abraham till now, all the wells were filled in. Okay, so they wouldn't come back and get the waters and the land. And he redigs the wells, which is another good thing. He becomes a frustrated father at one point, the deception of Rebekah and his son. And he dies at age 137. Okay, she's struggling. 2 nations are in her womb. 2 nations are in her womb. She gives birth. The first one comes forth is Esau, which means hairy, becomes an Edomite name, and Edom means red. Later, David defeated the Edomites, and they served Israel. Esau was a hunter, one of the last 2 mentioned in Scripture. Esau was wild and reckless.
Oh, yeah.
The second one, Jacob. He was holding on to Esau's heel. His name means heel catcher, supplanter, cheater, deceiver, defrauder. Like, who wants to be named Jacob? He was steady and upright and a peaceful man living in tents. First man cook, recorded in the Bible. Okay. Rebecca loved Jacob more. He was a quiet person. The Greek word for quiet is tam, which means perfect, mature. Okay. Rebecca loved him because she was probably cooking with his mother. The other one was probably hunting with his father. She waited 19 years to have children. Her hopes, her dreams, her disappointments each month. Can you imagine? For women who have had miscarriages or wanted children, I know my sister had a miscarriage, and every month she would wait and know she wasn't pregnant again. The disappointment was there. Every month she relived it, So it's hard for women who are trying to get pregnant and can't get pregnant. You know, we need to pray for them that God would, if it was his will, he'd open their wombs. Okay.
Yeah.
But remember, everyone has different gifts. We need to not show favoritism ever for our children, not even the people of the church. If you're a pastor, they're, you know, you're like the spiritual parents. You don't show favoritism to anybody. You can't do that. You will hurt people. You will hurt people, and they will walk away feeling rejected. We must love. And that's why, you know, like I love that story when Jesus says he'll go after the one sheep and leave the 99 for that one. And that's the rebellious sheep that runs away. And he still goes after it and loves it. We cannot show favoritism to people. We've got to love everybody with the love of God. I ask God all the time, please give me your heart to love. I've said, please let me see people as you do, but he can't do that, because if I saw people like he does, I'd be sitting in the corner crying all day, you know, because I'm not God.
Yeah. And we also have to know how to love, because
That's right.
love doesn't always mean I approve of everything that's going on. No,
Absolutely.
you have
Absolutely.
to speak up. And one of the problems that Isaac and Rebecca are going to realize is that, wait a minute, I question if they ever actually said anything to Esau. Like, hey, we do not want you marrying, or whatever you want to call it,
Right.
with these women, the Canaanites and all that, because of, who knows, because Esau value Isaac, he might have actually listened, but no.
Right.
That's why it's important for to say those things. Let them know. Don't just say, oh, don't marry that. Tell them why. So that way they can say, oh, this is what it's about.
That's
so they can connect the dot more easily.
Yeah, it's so important. Okay. Now, I want to talk a minute to you about what is a birthright. Okay. Because that's important to understand how important the birthright, what Esau threw away for a bowl of stew. Okay. It was a custom for the firstborn to inherit a double portion of the estate. Okay. They had the right to lead the household. They held all the responsibilities, rule, and to provide for the households, material and spiritually. They were the heads. Okay, they had the family inheritance. They were the ruling head of the whole tribe. The father's blessing came upon them. The spiritual leader and priest of the family or the tribe. The choice of all family lands. This is the inheritance, the birthright. The fruitfulness in the offspring. Personal blessings, special providence, a great name, personal blessings to all the nations, eternal inheritance, connection to the Abrahamic covenant, father of the Messiah, father of man and the nations, okay, father of kings, eternal natural seed, Jehovah as a special God, having power over the enemies, headship of nations, material prosperity, spiritual blessings of Abraham, justification by faith, curse upon their enemies. These are huge blessings to be the firstborn inheritance. The birthright belonged to the firstborn, even where hatred was involved. He was entitled to the double portion of the inheritance. The inheritance could be sold, and it could be forfeited due to his sin, if they had sin, or it could be set aside by God. Jacob didn't have to bargain for the birthright. It had already been promised to him from God. Okay? But Esau, we see what happens. He gives up his whole birthright because of his flesh. His flesh was crying out for something more. Don't ever give up your birthright, your gifts from God, your promises from God, your eternal blessing, your inheritance, your name, your gifts to satisfy your flesh. Instead, God says, crucify your flesh. Crucify your flesh. Kill it. You can't tame it. Kill it. You know, which isn't always easy. It's not always easy, you know. But parents, be careful, because you will reap what you sow. And And here between the two, Jacob, Esau, these two brothers, there's enmity before their birth. They're fighting in the womb. There's two nations in the womb at war. And I'm going to tell you something else about the womb. All right. Just something I want to say. Okay. When a person is pregnant with a baby growing in their womb, they've been put there by God. Okay, and they could hear, and their spirit receives. You need to be speaking blessings to that baby before you even meet it. You need to, that baby has already been ordained by God, set aside by God. Okay. God, remember, God sees the end from the beginning. Yep. Don't say, oh my God, I can't believe I'm pregnant. I wish I wasn't pregnant. A spirit of rejection will turn right into that baby before it's even born. You don't say, I wish I wasn't pregnant. You say, thank you for this gift of God. God, what I met somebody, you probably know Karen Spears. Her daughter, I met her one time. She visited our church years and years and years ago, and she was pregnant. And I don't remember what the prophecy was, but God had me prophesy over her baby in the womb. And she never forgot it. And she still speaks it over her son. You know, it's really important that we speak. It's so important for these babies that are being created in our womb. And let me tell you something else. God may, not talking about only the physical baby, God may say to you, I am birthing a vision for your life. It's a ministry.
Yeah.
And you've got to be keeping, it's growing, it's growing, it's growing, the pregnancy. And then when God says he's ready to birth it, you should have been praying already over it. Speaking the words of God over your ministry or the calling God has in your life. That's just as much a spiritual birth as a physical birth.
Yeah. I feel like I should put in, for those of you ladies who are kind of like pregnant, and it's like, I do understand that it's scary, but I do want to encourage you not to say things like, oh, I wish what, because you're speaking out of fear. That I get. So instead, pray, Father, I want to thank you for the child, but I need your help with the finances. Bring your concern to him.
That's
bring
good.
your anxiety instead, and that way you talk to him because he is able. And yet there are great churches. I know some who are able to help young women who, I know there are a lot of single mothers who are, and there are. It's not a thing to be feeling like, ugh, anymore, which can be a good thing because.
That's right. That's so right.
Right. And I do encourage churches to reach out.
Yes.
And help single mothers where possible. And
Right.
yes, it's great, but ladies, do not be in a hurry to get married just because you need a guy to do, because not all men are something you want in your life just because you need. No.
That's really good, Barry, that we were sharing. And again, if a woman did ever say that, like, you know, oh my God, I'm pregnant. Oh, you know, I'm too young to have a baby. I don't have finances. All you need to do now is say, God, I'm sorry. And just break those words off that baby. So that no rejection or anything. It's very simple. Very simple. You can change, you know, and I love that. Like, look at Rahab. I'm just going to speak about Rahab, you know. She was a prostitute. We read about in Joshua. Okay. And she ended up changing her life and coming to the Lord. You know, she put the red strand out, you know, the red rope out of her window representing salvation. And her name's in the genealogy of Christ.
Yeah.
So anything we do in our lives, our destiny can be corrected and changed.
Oh, yeah.
Anything. You know, we all fall short of the glory of God. I know I say that scripture all the time. We fall short of God. We do. We all fail. But our lives can be changed and rearranged. You know, and that was a really good point that you brought out, Barry, you know, for that reason, for people, you know, if they've said something or done, you know what, how many people have said that? It's so common. It's not like.
Oh, yeah. I understand that it's scary.
Yeah.
I hear now. Yes, ladies, there are men who do have a clue.
Yes.
And that we're not all idiots.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but anything could be changed, you know, and anything could be corrected.
Yeah.
You know, your words can change it. Your words
Yeah.
can, you know.
And since I have a 60% men audience, guy, you need to learn to take responsibility. And that I realize that some way you still have to take responsibility
Yeah.
because there is a life in the womb. That
Right.
girl is probably scared. I don't
Right.
blame her. But if you need to
Yes.
work on the relationship in the right way that's healthy, it's
Yes.
good if you're in a church
Right.
uh, and receive the help that's needed. But do not think, okay, even if she doesn't want a relationship, you still have a responsibility for that child because she's going to need help all
Yes.
the way,
Right.
right? Let's not just say, okay, uh, because there's more to being a father than just getting a woman pregnant. You
Yeah.
also mean you participate. I had a friend who went to my church some time ago. He's like an adopted father. He said, "Well, I'm not the real father." I said, "Bull, you are the real father.
Yeah.
You are taking care of that
That's
of your
right.
son. You are the one he sees raising.
That's right.
You are
Absolutely.
the one,
Yeah.
not this guy who was basically a sperm donor, or
Mm,
whatever you want to call it these
yeah.
days." But see, there is a difference.
Yeah.
Uh,
There is.
yes, I have a niece whose daughter had the blessing of two fathers. Why? Because the the natural father said, "No, what? I need to act like a man and be a father," even though she now has a a a, yeah, a stepfather who
Yeah.
is a father.
Right.
It's still possible, and with God's help, that is possible. It is not him.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like I better include the men because
Yeah.
they need that kind of
Yeah.
instruction, not
That's
just the
very
women.
good. That's really good. And you know what? We need men who will be spiritual fathers to people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Spiritual fathers are as important
Yeah.
as the natural fathers because there's so many kids out there that need to know the way to go to Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they
Yeah.
need that, you know. And I look at my grandson who, you know, my son died of cancer
Mm-hmm.
and my grandson was 3 and now he's 9. I think he's 9 now. I pray that God will send people in his life, men, you know, that will lead him, you know, and because you know we don't live close to them, we live, you know, far away. But I always pray that God would send spiritual people, spiritual men in his life to go out and play football with them, go out in the yard and play, you know, baseball with them, because
Mm-hmm.
kids need that.
Yeah.
They need that, you know,
Oh yeah.
really, really.
Oh yeah. And
So
I'll even add in. I met a young man because I happen to like watching some video game YouTube channel. So the kids on the channel saying, "Yeah, I wish I had a father who would spend some time could like playing Minecraft."
right,
Uh, Me, okay. Let's say I didn't care about the game, the video game. My instinct says go spend some time with the kid.
right,
It's okay. And
yeah,
I also
need
encourage
that,
them, yes, you're right. You may not like the fishing, but just go spend some time with your father
yes,
and each
right,
other because that will. Because I still remember, I don't actually like fishing. Guess what? I remember fishing with my father quite a bit because we've done it multiple times.
right,
It's
right,
an opportunity
hmm,
for you to it's just having fun. It's
right,
important. And yes, mothers, the same deal goes for you. You still need to do that with your daughter or son. Both
right,
a two-way street.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, so important, so important.
Wow, we're turning this into a parenting video.
Yeah, I'm doing a little parenting here. Yeah.
And
So
I'm not even a parent, but apparently I'm being a spiritual parent.
spiritual parent, right.